I'm sorry to have been called away from my storytelling, but I picked a bushel basket full of yellow tomatoes, my favorite, and a couple of fat green zucchini from our garden. I cut up some of the tomatoes for a squash casserole with cheddar cheese melted on top and stewed the rest for creamed tomatoes over biscuits. The sauce is yellow and delicious. Your father sat at his customary place at the table while I ate on the back porch. Now I am back in front of the computer, ready to reflect on Charlie once again. I must tell you about Toysy. His pathway is important to you. What a headstrong boy! Once a year, on a full moon, the soldiers from my father's house would come to my dwelling and collect Toysy to be instructed in the ways of the warrior. Each time, I would eagerly await his return. The soldiers would bring him back to me on the next full moon. At age 13, he was to be taken from me to reside with the warrior clan. Upon leaving, he was to never look upon his mother again. I prayed for the courage to sustain myself during this leave-taking and beyond. I had to be grateful for the time that was left to me. I trusted Holway to impart the ancient knowledge. As he worked his garden magic, he would tell my children the ways of the ancients. One day, as I embroidered under the shade of the tree of life, I watched as Holway asked each child to throw a rock into the water and watch the circles of waves flowing outward from the splash. Mekia tossed her stone into the waters and watched the ripples flowing gracefully outward. Toysy lifted a boulder the size of a hornet's nest and hurled it into the pond. The boulder hit the water with a big splash. Large waves radiated over the banks of the pond and into the flower beds. Holway gazed at the water and the children. He explained that each of their lives are like the rock they threw, that their pathway on this earth creates waves, and that they must be mindful of their thoughts and actions, as these will create a circle of waves out into the world. Holway touched Mekia and Toysy softly on top of their heads and whispered that they can create waves of anger or waves of peace. Children, you and you alone will make that choice. Mekia smiled and patted Holway's arm. Toysy stood up abruptly and threw a rock savagely over the dwelling. A soft cry was heard from where the rock landed. Mekia had run to find the source of the cry and discovered Liliani with a bowl of freshly hauled peas spilled on the ground. The rock had hit her on the forearm. Mekia leaned into Liliani to comfort her. Toysy had run off in the opposite direction. I knew that Holway would talk to Toysy later. Each time that he returned from his father's house, Toysy would become more unpredictable. He was confused by the conflicting message. The strict, unyielding regiment of the warriors pulled him one way. Holway, Liliani, and I, with our love for Kuan Yin, perhaps caused this imbalance with our stories and daily rituals. Somehow, We could not stop the telling and waited patiently for Toysey to find his heart song. To be continued.